Good evening, I'm Rizal Mansor and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Earlier this month, it was revealed in court that Rosmah Mansor allegedly forked out 100,000 ringgit a month to fund cybertroopers to protect her image online. Today, the court heard how the money was spent every month. Rosmah Mansor's cybertrooper team consisted of 40 people, including bloggers Papagomo, Parpukari and the Unspinners. Rosmah's former special officer Rizal Mansor revealed this at the Kuala Lumpur High Court today. According to Bernama, Rizal testified that the three bloggers were paid 5,000 ringgit a month for nearly 6 years, since 2012. He said they were among 3 or 4 team leaders of the cybertrooper team. Meanwhile, there were also 12 to 15 bloggers that were paid around 3,000 ringgit and about 30 Facebookers, of whom all were paid around 2,000 ringgit each during these 6 years. Rizal said this during cross-examination by Rosmah's lawyer, Jagjit Singh. Previously, Rizal informed the court through his witness statement that Rosmah allegedly gave him 100,000 ringgit a month to pay cybertroopers who were tasked with monitoring and countering negative opinions about the former Prime Minister's wife online. Rizal is the 21st prosecution witness in the trial against Rosmah, who is accused of soliciting 187.5 million ringgit and 2 counts of receiving bribes totaling 6.5 million from Jepa Holdings' former managing director, Saidi Abang Samsudin. At one juncture, Jagjit asserted that the 100,000 monthly budget was financed directly by the PMO and was not paid out of the pocket by Rosmah, to which Rizal disagreed. The lawyer further asserted that Rizal did not issue any receipt as proof of payments that were made to the cybertroopers, to which the prosecution key witness agreed. Jagjit then suggested that the reason the receipt was not issued was because Rizal pocketed most of the money for himself, which the witness disagreed. For someone who triggered the Sabah snap polls, Musa has been rather elusive, but that appears to have changed. He's making public appearances now at PN events. Former Sabah Chief Minister Musa, who triggered the Sabah snap polls after initiating a failed political coup, made a surprise appearance at a public event in Beaufort this morning. Musa was seated in the front row with other guests awaiting the arrival of Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin at the Sabah Farmers, Livestock Breeders and Fisherfolk program at Dataran Bagandang. He was later seen at another event attended by Muhyiddin, but this time given a VIP seat on stage. At this event, Muhyiddin said the former Sabah Chief Minister was there to support PN.
Saya tidak menafikan apa yang kawan saya Syafi'i Abdal telah lakukan di Sabah. Macam juga apa yang Tan Sri Musa menjadi Ketua Menteri sudah banyak melakukan pembangunan di Sabah. Kita ucapkan terima kasih. Thank you Tan Sri Musa atas segala usahanya. Sekarang dia tidak mau jadi calon. Tak apa. Tapi semangatnya masih kuat. Mau datang ke sini untuk sokong saya dan sokong Perikatan Nasional.
His appearance at Muhyiddin's events had sparked speculation that he was campaigning for Bersatu and Perikatan Nasional instead of his party UMNO. However, Musa declined to comment when asked at both events if he was supporting PN. All eyes were on Musa ahead of the nomination day on September 12 after initiated a failed coup to oust the government of Warisan Chief Muhammad Shafi Abdal. However, he was not fielded by UMNO or PN as a candidate for the polls and did not turn up at any of the nomination centres. Karudin, who is best known now for being the minister who breached COVID-19 quarantine rules, has been warded. Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Karudin Razali, who was recently fined 1,000 ringgit for breaching COVID-19 quarantine rules, has been hospitalized. However, it's not because of the coronavirus. According to a posting on Facebook, Karudin said he will undergo a small procedure today. According to the past leader, he was asked to rest for an entire week when he met doctors last week. However, due to his extremely busy schedule, he wasn't able to fully rest. He said after the small procedure today, he hopes that he could be discharged in a couple of days because he has a long list of programs, including in Sabah and Sarawak later this month. He also called on people to pray for his speedy recovery and health. In July, Karudin had breached COVID-19 quarantine rules after he returned from Turkey. All returnees must undergo a swab test for COVID-19 and be subsequently sent to a quarantine centre to carry out a 14-day isolation period. Prior to July 24th, overseas returnees who test negative must still undergo quarantine but were able to do so at home. They were not allowed to leave home for 14 days and must be retested on the 13th day before their quarantine bracelet can be removed. Karudin allegedly did not undergo this process. It appears to be a good day for fishermen. The government has decided to raise the allowance sara hidup back to 300 ringgit.
Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has announced that the government will raise the cost of living allowance for fishermen from 250 ringgit to 300 ringgit. He said this at an event in Sabah today.
Saya nak umumkan bahawa pada masa Perikatan Pakatan Harapan mentadbirkan negara, dan saya nak ingatkan warisan yang ada di negeri Sabah ini adalah sebahagian daripada Pakatan Harapan. Saya nak ingatkan begitu. Di waktu itu, allowance sara hidup nelayan yang RM300 telah pun dipotong dan jadi hanya RM250 sahaja. Bukan ditambah. Hari ini saya nak umumkan kita kembalikan semula supaya nelayan akan dapat sebanyak RM300 bayaran tunai tiap-tiap bulan.
Muhyiddin said this was to lighten the burden faced by the fishermen, and also reminded them to vote for Perikatan Nasional on the 26th of September. Also present at the event were Agriculture and Food Industries Minister Ronald Kandi and his two deputies, as well as Burford MP Azizah Mohammadun and former Sabah Chief Minister Musa Aman.
Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman has applied for Muda to be officially registered as a political party. Muda MP Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman submitted an application to register a new political party known as the Malaysian United Democratic Alliance, or Muda, at the Registrar of Societies this morning. The former Bersatu youth chief said that the party will represent all of society, regardless of race, religion and age. He said it will be a party for all races and religions, and the leaders will be a majority of young individuals. Syed Saddiq said that Muda currently has 13 sponsors and he would announce the party structure later. Earlier, in an interview with radio station BFM, Syed Saddiq cautioned that any attempt to hinder the registration process could result in public backlash. He added that he had personally appealed to both Home Minister Hamzah Zainuddin and Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin on Muda's plans. He hoped that there would be no political barriers placed. Syed Saddiq also confirmed that his new party was planning to run for elections. However, he said it was too early for Muda to decide whether it will align with any existing major political coalitions. COVID-19 is still here, folks, so be sure to comply with all the SOPs to stay safe. Here's the country's latest COVID-19 situation. The Health Ministry has reported 21 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of cumulative confirmed cases in the country to 10,052. In a statement today, Health Ministry Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said that out of the 21 new cases, 5 were imported. He said they were all Malaysians, with 2 returning from New Zealand and 1 each from India, Pakistan and China. Out of the remaining 16 locally transmitted cases, 15 were Malaysian citizens and 1 was a non-citizen. There were 5 local cases in Sabah. 2 new cases are part of the Benteng LD cluster. 1 case was detected during admission at Tower Hospital and another was detected during sign-off screening of a ship docked in Sipitang. 1 new case has been reported for the Selamat cluster, a new cluster in Semporna. There were 7 new cases reported in Kedah, of which 6 are from the Sungai cluster. The other was detected from a screening at the Administrative Enhanced Movement Control Order area in Kota Setah, Kedah. Meanwhile, 2 COVID-19 cases were detected in Penang from close contact screening of a patient and 1 case each in Selangor and Sarawak. Coming up next, the US government is looking to make vaccine distribution quick. The US government is hoping to distribute COVID-19 vaccines at lightning speed as soon as it gets regulatory authorization.
US officials said on Wednesday that the US government will move COVID-19 vaccine to administration sites 24 hours after regulatory authorization. Documents on the distribution plans suggest that the government is likely to follow guidelines generated by an independent expert panel tapped by US health officials to lay out which Americans to prioritize while vaccine supplies are limited. The document, called the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Interim Playbook, said limited COVID-19 vaccine doses may be available by early November of this year if one is authorized by then, but that supply may increase substantially in 2021. Pharmacies and hospitals will be the primary vaccination points. The CDC document said the agency is working directly with pharmacies to develop on-site vaccination in long-term care facilities. During a press call, officials said they were also looking to reach other groups of people in close contact, such as those that work in meatpacking plants or are in homeless shelters. The officials added that they were working to make sure there was no cost to patients for the vaccine and were working with states on how to track vaccination through state immunization databases and pharmacy records.
Hurricane Sally in the US has brought historic and catastrophic flooding to the Alabama-Florida coast.
Hurricane Sally uprooted trees, flooded streets, and left hundreds of thousands of people without power on the Alabama-Florida coast in the US on Wednesday. Sally, which made landfall on Alabama's Gulf Coast as a Category 2 hurricane, bringing winds of up to 105 miles per hour early Wednesday morning, was downgraded in the afternoon to a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center said the storm brought historic and catastrophic flooding, as some parts of the Gulf Coast were inundated with more than 18 inches of rain over a 24-hour period. Some of the residents there said that they rode out the storm.
We started hearing all of our windows start to pop, part of the roof started coming off and siding was ripping. We just rode it out. About 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock we fell asleep and woke up at 9, started walking out.
Other residents along the Alabama and Florida coast said damage from the slow-moving storm caught them off guard. On landfall at Gulf shores, Sally's winds were clocked at 105 miles per hour. Along the coast, piers were ripped away by the storm surge and winds. Winds brought down massive trees in downtown Alabama, and torrential rains pummeled parts of the south coast from Louisiana to Florida.
There is a child in all of us. This is why this next story will leave many of you waiting for November. I said many because some of you actually play on Xbox. The much-awaited Sony PlayStation 5, the next leap in console gaming, will be available in November. Sony will be releasing the PS5 on November 12, beginning in 7 key markets: the US, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. The rest of the world will get it on November 19th. The new PlayStation is expected to deliver lightning-fast loading, heightened immersion, and a whole new generation of experiences, according to Sony. Though the pricing for the Malaysian market hasn't been announced, it will be sold in the US for $499 for the version with a disk drive and $399 for the digital version, which will not have a disk drive, meaning people will have to download all their content and games. The PS5 will be able to support 4K graphics at a 120Hz refresh rate, and it will support 8K graphics if your TV can display it. It will also support 3D audio. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Rizal Michael. Thank you for watching.